Good evening, this is The Rundown, where headlines hit harder, stories go deeper, and the truth doesn't hide behind the noise. I'm Brian Taylor, and in the next few minutes we're cutting through the clutter to bring you what matters most: fast, clear, and unfiltered news. From power moves in politics to breakthroughs shaping our world, this isn't just the news, this is The Rundown. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment. And if you're curious about the gear, books, and tools we trust, check out our top picks at the link tree in the description below. Now let's dive into the video. Good evening, I'm Brian Taylor, and this is The Rundown. Tonight, history is unfolding in the heart of Rome, where the Catholic Church has ushered in a new spiritual leader. And he's breaking barriers from the start. Pope Leo XIV, formerly known as Robert Francis Prevost, has become the first American-born pontiff in history and the first Augustinian friar to lead the global church. The announcement came Thursday, following a swift two-day conclave as cardinals selected the 267th pope to succeed the late Pope Francis. While Leo is generally seen as a centrist, early indications show that his approach may echo aspects of Pope Francis's reform-minded legacy, especially on climate, compassion for migrants, and engagement with marginalized communities. Rooted in the Augustinian tradition, Pope Leo's guiding principles are unity, love, and truth. His former colleagues say those values have deeply shaped his pastoral approach, with one fellow friar describing him as a listener, someone who pays attention to voices often ignored by the Church. In past statements, Pope Leo has emphasized a church that welcomes rather than excludes. At a 2023 Vatican event, he said the Church's mission is to enlarge the tent, inviting everyone in. And in a separate interview, he challenged traditional clerical hierarchy, stating bishops shouldn't act like royalty but instead walk with, suffer with, and serve their people. But when it comes to specific social issues, Leo's record presents a more complex picture. On LGBTQ+ matters, Leo's prior remarks have drawn attention. In a 2012 speech, he voiced concern over what he described as Western culture's embrace of values he felt conflicted with gospel teachings, specifically referencing same-sex partnerships and families. His view on the Vatican's 2023 policy, allowing non-sacramental blessings for same-sex couples, remains unclear. Rather than outright support or dismissal, he has emphasized the role of local bishops in applying such teachings based on cultural context. Still, Leo has stated that every individual deserves dignity and respect, though he has also opposed discussions of gender identity in schools, arguing that children are too young to grasp such topics. Pope Leo has maintained the long-standing church tradition by opposing the ordination of women as deacons, aligning with a belief that has been upheld for centuries within Catholic doctrine. But like Francis, he has pushed for women to be more involved in leadership. In fact, it was Pope Francis who appointed Leo to help oversee the nomination process for bishops, a committee that, for the first time, included women under Leo's watch. One area where Pope Leo is closely aligned with his predecessor is environmental advocacy. As a cardinal, he called on the Church to stop merely speaking about climate change and start taking action. He's applauded the Vatican's shift to solar energy and electric vehicles and warned against technology that exploits nature without regard for its limits. Online, his past tweets suggest a nuanced position. He's been critical of harsh immigration enforcement and has retweeted statements denouncing racism, opposing the death penalty, and calling for justice after the killing of George Floyd. He also shared critical commentary on former President Trump's immigration policies and took issue with Vice President J.D. Vance's interpretation of Christian doctrine. Still, not everyone is applauding. Some conservative media figures have attacked the new pope online, labeling him woke and even Marxist. But former President Trump offered congratulations, calling Leo's election a great honor for our country and expressing eagerness to meet him. As the world's 1.3 billion Catholics look to the future, Pope Leo XIV will face the enormous challenge of uniting a church divided by ideology, geography, and generations. Whether he continues the Francis legacy, or carves out a path uniquely his own, one thing is clear: the global church is watching, and so are we. Around the world, responses have echoed a similar theme: hope, peace, and unity. Argentina's President Javier Milei responded with a symbolic image of a lion in papal attire and a typically bold statement alluding to the will of God. Leaders from Australia to Austria, Brazil to Colombia, and Ireland to India all hailed Pope Leo's election as a beacon in turbulent times. In Europe, leaders of the EU, including Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa, voiced support for Pope Leo's moral leadership, with France's Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Friedrich Merz emphasizing the spiritual significance of his appointment. From Greece to Hungary and the Nordic countries, the message was clear: this new pope is seen as a figure capable of healing divides. In Latin America, where Leo spent significant time, the response was especially personal. Peru's President Dina Boluarte said the country embraces him as one of their own, praising his humility and commitment to the marginalized. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum and Colombia's Gustavo Petro both expressed hopes that Leo will continue the social justice legacy of his predecessor. African nations too expressed deep optimism. Kenya's President William Ruto and South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa welcomed Pope Leo's call for compassion, justice, and peace, especially in conflict-torn regions. In Asia, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi sent warm wishes for a papacy rooted in harmony, while Filipino President Bongbong Marcos praised Leo's compassion for the poor, a sentiment echoed by Catholic-majority nations across the continent. Leaders in the Middle East, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Lebanese officials, expressed hopes for interfaith dialogue and deeper Vatican ties, particularly in a time when religious tensions remain high. From Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed Leo's moral support as crucial amid ongoing conflict. And in Russia, President Vladimir Putin offered measured congratulations, hinting at ongoing Vatican-Moscow diplomacy. Even monarchies joined the chorus of support. Buckingham Palace confirmed that King Charles III had privately reached out to Pope Leo XIV, highlighting the Pope's worldwide spiritual significance. As Leo XIV assumes his role, the global community looks on with measured hope. His papacy arrives at a time of war, climate crisis, mass migration, and cultural polarization. Yet his message today, calling for unity, dialogue, and service to the poor, resonates deeply with a world searching for moral clarity. In the words of Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, in a time marked by conflict and unrest, Pope Leo XIV's call for brotherhood and responsibility may be the moral compass we so urgently need. And that's the world's view on history in the making, from Vatican City to Chicago and far beyond. Habemus Papam. We have a Pope. This has been Brian Taylor for The Rundown. Stay with us for continuing coverage on Pope Leo XIV's first public engagements and his emerging vision for the Catholic Church in the 21st century. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.